Hey everyone, before we get into the video, just a quick shout out to my friend Matthew Rhodes. He's got his book out, Virtual Requiem. You can buy it from Amazon. Link is in the description below. Go check it out. None of the proceeds come to me. Everything goes to him. I'm just doing a friend a solid. So hopefully if you like what you see and you like the synopsis that you can read, you'll enjoy what's out there. Right, on with the video. So many of you have already seen the interview and all the goodness that has come out of it with Sarah Bond and Bloomberg. One of the questions that came out was, of course, it was always going to be there, even though the questions were provided up front, it was going to be there. Even if it was going to be a ninja question that just got thrown in as a curveball that Microsoft could then later get pissed off at, this is a question that they should have had an answer to. Clearly, they weren't prepared for this question, and you could see that just by looking at her face that, really, you're going to ask me that question right now? Despite the fact that it wasn't in the list, really? You're gonna do that to me? But she didn't really have an answer, and the response she gave was nothing more than a bunch of nothing. Now, obviously, people are mocking her for this, but I think she did the right thing by basically giving a convoluted nothing answer, because at the end of the day, if she hasn't been given any direction, going in the direction that she wants to go in probably isn't the wisest idea, because anything that she says that isn't correct, that could be held against her, will be held against her. But if we're looking at Christopher Dring, our favorite, numbers guy when it comes to sales and stuff, apparently for all those people saying that the consoles are selling amazingly well and that, the year's been great for PlayStation, Nintendo, and everyone else except Microsoft, you can see here that the console market continues to have a terrible or horrible year. Sales of games machines are down 30% in the UK. Considering Microsoft has no presence in the UK, that can only mean that no one is buying PS5s or Nintendo Switches, right? Because as everyone has been saying repeatedly, Xbox doesn't have a presence in Europe and their sales in Europe are pretty much abysmal. No one wants an Xbox in Europe. So you can't really have a reduction in sales if at the end of the day, no one's buying it anyway. So this can only mean one thing: no one is buying the PS5. Xbox Series console sales are down under 25%. PS5 sales are down just over 25%. Now, considering we're looking at metrics here, PS5 is, as people say, are selling 3-to-1 in Europe. So that 25% is a hell of a lot bigger than it is at 1-to-3, right? I'm just saying, 25% of 33 is much smaller than 25% of 75%. So clearly, no one is buying these consoles. And Switch sales are down 38%, which is even bigger. But at this point, I think everyone has like 9 Switches in their household, so that was probably always to be expected. But it's okay. They're releasing a new Switch maybe this year or early next year. Those sales will go straight back up, especially if they start releasing a Luigi Switch 2, a Mario Switch 2, a Metroid Switch 2, a Zelda Switch 2. I think we'll have like another 10 per household, so Nintendo will be just fine. But it's the other, the PS5 dropping by over 25%. That's a huge decline, but it continues to go forward with what the narrative is saying. And despite all these fanboys talking about how console sales have never been better, everything points towards the complete opposite, where console sales aren't doing as hot as they used to. But, what do we know? The fanboys know best. But one thing that did come out from this whole ordeal is, one of the main reasons why Microsoft bought ABK, and that was the mobile game store. And it looks like Xbox's mobile game store is coming July. Now, I did cover this briefly in my earlier video, but I'm actually quite interested to see and eager to see what this is actually going to be. I'm assuming it's just going to be a storefront that you can go to like the Play Store. How it's actually going to break into the economy and interrupt the duopoly that's currently going on with the App Store and the Play Store. Will it even have a chance? We've seen Microsoft attempt this multiple times. Are they going to remove what games they have from the Play Store and the App Store and push them over to the Xbox Mobile Game Store, which I don't think would be wise? But are future games that are coming to the Xbox Mobile App Store, are they only going to be exclusive to the Xbox Mobile Game Store, or are they going to be on the Play Store and App Store as well? In which case, is there really any reason for anyone to use the Xbox mobile game store? It's going to be interesting to see how that actually develops. But of course, this is the clip that actually is doing the rounds. I've watched the whole interview. This part here is probably the biggest question that they have, and the response that she gives is pretty on point. And, you know, as I said here, it sounds like Call of Duty is coming to day one. But also, from what she said, and I'm guessing they finally had those debates and had the decision that if, you know, and it looks like Phil wants to double down when it comes to Game Pass. It looks like this is his legacy. This is what he wants to achieve. And despite the talks of random people who are no longer at Microsoft coming out and people taking their two people's words over everything else, that they were advising that this won't work, Phil is determined to make it work no matter what, because it really feels like at the end of the day, Game Pass is going to be the legacy that he wants to pass on to gamers, and that's not a bad thing as long as it's sustainable and working. And honestly, like I was saying yesterday in my chat, there is nothing there to say that it's not sustainable. They just need to find ways to keep people engaged, subscribed, and to bring in more customers. At 34 million, it's doing okay, but you want that to double to 64 million. And as Michael Prachter said, it should be hitting 200 million. Now, whether it's going to hit that number or not is a different matter, but being able to hit that 50 million mark would be a great milestone for Microsoft, and it will vindicate Phil Spencer in actually showing the world that what he wanted is actually working. But let's just listen to this and see what Sarah has to say.
Xbox itself's heritage is in console, and you know, the energy around the console right now is a little challenged. Many of the hardcore long-term customers are worried. They're worried about the release on other platforms. They're worried that that may indicate that Xbox is defocusing its own hardware. What do you say to them? How do you make them feel like Xbox is still for them?
And I just want to point this out, because I am reacting to this first time, that is a general concern. Like when people say that every screen is an Xbox, I totally get that when she says that, because she wants you to be playing Xbox everywhere. She wants Xbox to be your focus, your single avenue for gaming, and no matter where you're going, you're giving money to Microsoft or Xbox in order to be playing those Xbox games. So I totally get that. But what I see and have always seen, a direct correlation, the more consoles you sell, the more Game Pass subscriptions you sell. That is the easiest way to sell Game Pass. So you kind of have to focus the console. And, you know, showing any form of defocus from the console just isn't it. There's around 30 million, there's about, what, 28 million Xbox consoles out there with the Series and the S and the X. And there's 34 million Game Pass subscriptions. That's not including the core subscriptions. The core is a separate thing. So if you include the core, then you're looking about, you know, 45 million, but we don't count the core because that's basically Xbox Live Gold. But you can see the correlation there. So let's see what she has to say.
Yeah, I mean, first, the worry that I see is happening across the industry, and I think is a lot of what we're seeing, just industry all up. But specific to core gamers, my focus has really been on engineering and building that next generation hardware experience that really, really taps in to their needs. I talked about this a little bit publicly a few months ago. I talked about how, you know, our focus is on delivering the biggest leap ever. And that's about really thinking through every aspect of what that hardware and what that experience delivers with the core gamer in mind. And that is about power and performance. That's absolutely part of it. But it's also about the ability to be able to play all of the games. I mean, we have people who've been playing on Xbox for decades, have invested thousands and thousands of dollars and hours with us, and to be able to take all of those games with them into the hardware of the future. So one of the decisions I made when I came in and became president of Xbox was to establish a team dedicated to that, to game preservation and ensuring that future generations, future iterations, that you get to take those things with you forward.
Now, a couple of things to unpack there because a lot was said. So number one, we've got 100% confirmation that a next Xbox is coming. We've got 100% confirmation that it will be focused on power and deliverance of quality of life features that the consumers want and need. We've also got confirmation that backwards compatibility through the generations of Xbox will still be present on the next generation console. It's going to be a generational leap, which either tells you that it's not going to be the Xbox kind of 1X to Series X jump, but we're talking probably, from what I understand, a actual form factor change where the handheld is going to be unveiled at some point. I'm still hoping that they do unveil the existence of the handheld and maybe just like a prototype of it at the actual June 9th presentation, but that's my understanding of this. But we now have full confirmation of a next generation console. So for anyone out there that's actually saying that it's not happening, it's over, and all of this, yes, Unleashed, I'm talking to you. This is confirmation that they're going nowhere. This is confirmation that the console is coming and that they are still prioritizing the Xbox consoles like they should, because at the end of the day, like I said, there is a direct correlation between an Xbox console and a Game Pass subscription. So not prioritizing the console just isn't the way. I would like them to actually go more, full hands-on focused with the console, because that is where the central experience is. You do have PC gaming as well, and I appreciate that. And a lot of people are going to say, well, that's the best place to play it because you get all of this. You're also paying a lot more money for that experience. A console experience is pretty much a box you buy, sits under your TV at $500, and that's it. But with the next generation console, we're also looking at things like a hybrid system. So the whole console PC could be blurring anyway, with the talks of Steam appearing on there and whatnot, providing even more choice for their gamers. So time will tell exactly what it looks like, but one thing is for sure, Xbox is still here to stay. There is a next generation console coming, and there is more fight left in them. Appreciate the closures were not great. Tango Gameworks closing was a blow, especially for their aspirations in Japan, because that was their gateway. But maybe there's other plans that we just don't know about. At the end of the day, as she said, this industry layoffs is happening everywhere. This ain't going to be the last we see of it. It's going to continue across all agencies of the market. And until it stabilizes, it's not going to stop. And as AI comes in, maybe that will hopefully help deliver games at a faster pace to reduce those costs and actually help retain some more jobs.
The next part of that is saying, okay, I get to bring those games with me. I'm invested in those games. I get an incredible high performance experience on my console, but also continuing our commitment to make sure that gamers can bring their games with them wherever they want to play. That my Xbox library is something that can go with me and that I can enjoy with others. So our long-term commitment to cross-play is part of that. And our commitment to cross-progression and cloud saves, so you can pick up on one device and you can play on another, is part of that. And also our investments in cloud gaming, which you referenced earlier. A lot of those who use cloud gaming are people who own a console. They're just, they want to play it on another device and go somewhere else. So that's the second piece.
And that's actually a good thing. The whole cloud gaming allows you to have an extension to your overall experience. And as we know from yesterday, the Asus ROG Ally X is now going to be unveiled on June the 2nd. Now, the naming convention, a lot of people are saying, could be related to a partnership with Xbox, because we always see Microsoft showing the Asus ROG instead of the Steam Deck, because you can natively install Game Pass onto the Asus ROG. It runs Windows. So there is that symbiotic relationship there anyway. So maybe the actual Asus ROG X will have like a limited edition version or a custom version that actually has like an Xbox theme on it that could launch alongside, in time for this whole thing. And I don't know. It could be interesting. Obviously, that's just me speculating, but clearly what they want is for you to always be playing on the Xbox. Whether it's on the console, on a handheld, on your mobile, it doesn't matter as long as you're in the ecosystem and playing within that system. They just don't care. They want you playing Xbox. But they've also understood, and I hope they have understood, that the console is very paramount to that experience. And being able to play on a mobile gaming device or on your phone is just an extension of the experience and not the core experience. And that is exactly what she said here.
And then the last piece is about Game Pass. We know our core users love Game Pass. Game Pass is a gaming subscription. You get a whole portfolio of games, but importantly, you get every single one of our games that we build day one in Game Pass.
That's it. That's it. That's confirmation, regardless of what anyone says. That's right there is confirmation that Call of Duty and everything else is going to be day one. Microsoft is fully doubling down on Game Pass. At the end of the day, there is a big risk here with especially a game as big as Call of Duty going to Game Pass, and you are going to lose sales. But they are banking that a big game like Call of Duty is going to bring in 5-10 million subs, potentially. Maybe even have people transferring from one platform to the other to enjoy future games on Game Pass that is going to be part of that subscription. And you pay for that subscription and gain a host of other games and first-party games as well, all a part of that subscription. On top of that, you'll also get that potentially for your PC as well. Well, you will get it for your PC. That's not going anywhere. So this is full confirmation that the whole slate, no matter what the game is going to be on Game Pass day one. Obviously, expansions are probably the enigma here, but in terms of the base game, it's all there. So Call of Duty confirmed, going to be day one on Game Pass.
And the quality and the breadth of those games has only been going up over time, and you're going to see some more really big games going into Game Pass later this year.
Big games they're talking about, well, Hellblade 2 is a big game, but that's already coming. But she said later this year, so we're talking Avowed, Indiana Jones, Call of Duty, potentially Diablo expansion. I know that just completely debunks what I said, but I think that's probably going to be a paid expansion. But there's going to be like big games coming, and maybe there's going to be some unannounced games that we don't really know that is due for this year that's going to be coming. Like Stalker 2, for example, is dropping this year, presumably. But maybe there's other games that we're going to find out on June the 9th, because we've been told that there's going to be a lot of games and a lot of surprises on June the 9th. So maybe there's games that we don't even know about that are ready to go that's going to drop this year and give Xbox a really, really good, rest of the year experience. We'll see.
From Activision's
across the whole slate, you're going to see some really amazing.
So she said with Activision, and she said across the whole slate. That should confirm everything, and there should be no more discussion about this. That's it. It's done. They may have been having debates internally. They may have been having these discussions. It's perfectly normal, like I said in my stream yesterday. It's a big question, and it's a big undertaking, and if it backfires, it could hurt Microsoft. So having those discussions and debates is definitely a good thing. But this is confirmation across Activision, ZeniMax, everything, that is going to be day one, the whole slate. Now, whether these games also appear on other platforms after a year or 2 years, or if it's a live service day and date, at this point, I don't think it even matters. If you enjoy Xbox and you enjoy day one gaming with your Game Pass subscription, that is where you're going to get it. But if the game appears on another platform 2, 3, 5 years later, whatever. At this point in time, what you care about is the fact that the whole slate, day and date, is coming to Game Pass, making it the best deal in gaming. Period.
Things. And keeping that as something that is really special for Xbox players is central for us.
And it is special to them because this is Phil's legacy. Phil wants this to work. Regardless of how people see it, Phil wants this to work. Phil needs this to work. Because this is pretty much him in a nutshell. This was his vision, his ambition. And at the end of the day, no matter which way you look at it or how you look at it, he is going to do everything in his power to make this work, no matter what he has to do to get to that point. And I think this confirmation here is what Xbox gamers have wanted. They wanted, confirmation that Xbox is doubling down on consoles, and they are. They wanted confirmation that they're, doubling down with Game Pass, and day and date is still going to be a thing, no matter the game, no matter the size. And they did. And they wanted confirmation that, they are looking at the future of Xbox and committing to that future of Xbox. And in my opinion, that's what this did. So it kind of answered all three of those questions. Now, when we were saying that they need to come out and make, a statement, talk about it, and let people know what they want, as far as I'm concerned, this has cleared all ambiguity. But that's me, that's my thoughts. And as we can see here, Insider Gaming is already there. Sarah Bond confirms every first-party game will still launch on Game Pass, including Call of Duty. But they said Call of Duty wasn't... No one said it wasn't releasing, True Gaming. At the end of the day, they said that they were having a debate as to whether it should be. Just like we were having it yesterday, there are pros and cons to this, and if it flops, and if it fails, and if it undersells, and they don't gain those subscriptions, we will be having a very, very different conversation this time, 6 months later. So hopefully it's going to go the way we want it to. Hopefully they'll gain those Xbox subs. The PlayStation fans are going to continue funding that game like they do, because they like making Xbox games their #1 seller, because, they love Xbox games. They can't do without them. If you looked at the EU and UK charts, you can clearly see that the most purchased game was Sea of Thieves, and they absolutely love it. It was higher than Stellar Blade and Helldivers. That should tell you everything, right? They absolutely love Xbox games. They want it. They just want it on the PlayStation and not on the Xbox. So, as far as I'm concerned, that was that, and that should be finished. And hopefully we'll now can push forward to the 21st, enjoy Hellblade 2, and then push forward to June the 9th and see exactly what this showcase is all about. Right, that's it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to hit that like, subscribe, hit that bell to stay up to date with all content I release, and I'll see you in the next one. Mainly.